Everybody, it is 9:59. We are back in open session. May I have a motion to
Motion to
open?
return at 9:58.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilman Hernandez, a second by Councilwoman Trevino. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're moving on to item 9A, discuss and consider appointment of municipal court judge.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am?
I would like to make a motion to go ahead and appoint Mr. Nick De Leon as municipal court judge with our city manager and our attorney to negotiate salary and position.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion by Councilwoman Rodriguez, a second by Councilwoman Trevino to nominate a municipal judge with the city manager to establish the salary. Is there any questions?
None.
I see none. Let's go for a vote. Show of hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, next item we have as we moved item 7A to 8B, and now it's 9B. This will be discuss and consider awarding, rejecting the bid for brush yard waste from the city transfer station, and authorizing the city manager to re-advertise invitation for bid if necessary. This is an action item.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion.
I will entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion to go ahead and deny the bids and to go ahead and go up for bids again for 14 days and to be placed on the next agenda.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilwoman Rodriguez to deny current bids and go out for another 14 days to seek new bids. There was a second by Councilwoman Hernandez. Is there any discussion?
I just let it be known that there will be a request for proposals, right?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, request for, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, so noted. Any other questions? Let's go to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, thank you very much. All right, now we're going back to, I believe we're on item 7B. Discuss and consider amending the City of Pearsall's code ordinances by adding articles to Chapter 32 substandard buildings to enact regulations for substandard, unsecured, or dangerous buildings or structures. This is an action item, and I am turning it over to our city manager.
Mayor and council, some months back, we had passed around this ordinance, and we talked about making revisions to Chapter 32, which is our ordinances that deals with nuisances. And so what you have in your packet is this ordinance, and what it deals with deals with one section of the nuisance ordinance, which is dilapidated structures. And so what you'll find in there is, I believe Bobby helped with the crafting of the ordinance, but it addresses dilapidated structures and rules and processes as it relates to addressing dilapidated structures. So we, the staff, have looked at this. We didn't have very many revisions. There were some revisions on my end that I put minor revisions, particularly referencing back to the codification of Chapter 32 and the Code of Ordinances, which it references, the building codes that were adopted, and I referenced the building codes and what code number they were, ordinance number they were, excuse me. And so you'll have that in your packet, but nonetheless, it's an entire section of a chapter that's just related to dilapidated structures. I'll pass it on to Bobby as far as any questions you may have related to the ordinance. Bobby, is there anything on your end that you?
No, it's been a while. I apologize. I've been running around all day, and I never got back to my office to get my laptop, so I've been operating off my phone today. So if you ask me to look at anything, I'm going to be looking at my phone, unless we can get it up somewhere else. But I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
And that begins on that ordinance begins on page 29, and I think it runs through page 37 of this packet.
So we're amending this and adding the Article 32?
Yes, you're adding the entire, it basically amends that entire section of the code of
Well,
ordinances.
thank you.
So you feel free to look at it, and
Could you, I'm sorry, Mr. Reyes, could, Bobby, could you pretty much tell us in like a nutshell what chapter 32,
I'm sorry?
what chapter 32 is about?
Chapter 32 is just the chapter in the code of ordinances that you already have with Municode. And that's the code, that's the code that deals with, you have it right there?
Yes, sir.
I can take a look at it.
let me go to it.
This is what's online.
Because what was the purpose of amending it, Mr. Reyes?
Is for it to be consistent with state statute. Our processes and what we can do as far as dilapidated structures, from the point of whether we want to abate the structure, whether we want to clean up, actually enter the premises to clean it up, processes that relates to citations,
Putting liens?
liens, all that's included in here.
So
So that,
basically, you just want it to mirror the state statute.
we have to, I think that's what we were referencing, and that
So
was
we
part of it.
weren't, so
The-
that's,
the
we're just
existing-
trying to get up to, with,
The
with it
existing
being in-
ordinance did not.
So chapter 32 in your code of ordinances are all of your nuisances, noise, junk vehicles, unfit buildings, mosquito control in general. But also, even though it looks good in your code of ordinances, it was out of date. So all we're trying to do is update it. Not that it's not going to still need work down the road as you implement it. And
so
make
we're
it
just
work.
making it in line with the state.
Yes, especially because the one that was on there was really old. I was trying to look at the reference.
So we were towing people's cars without it
What's
being
They could references back maybe 76.
with the state?
There's some that are 99.
Yeah, the references that are in there now, like some are 99 unfit buildings, I'll go down to 3270. So 87 ordinance, that's what, so it was really outdated as it relates to state statute, especially when it comes to involving municipal court and affording due process, that is, giving people an opportunity to be notified and a chance to be heard and an opportunity to fix things and so on and so forth. So it was, the ordinance that we were operating under was pretty old, 34 years old. No, 87 would make it,
Mayor,
Close enough,
Yes.
Yeah.
with that being said, I'd like to slow move.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilman Leal to approve the ordinance as presented. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Hernandez. All in favor? Show your hands, please. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, now, this is not a action item, but item 7C, discussion review, Charter 32 of code ordinances as it pertains to junk and abandoned vehicles and other nuisances. Just a discussion item.
Yeah, this is just a discussion. I'm going to be brief for this council. I think you were given a packet, a little form here, and these are revisions to the other parts of chapter 32 as it relates to junk vehicles and weedy lots. So a couple things, and again, feel free to read this. This is a draft copy, and I know Bobby's going to have revisions, and the council may have revisions. But I do want to point out some of the highlighted areas. Under chapter 32, prohibited acts. If you look at the second page, what I have there in yellow is sweeping or depositing of any trash. And I mentioned these because some of these have come up, and I know it's something that we're, oh, can we do this, can we not do it? And there's been things, even as far as our end, as far as city staff, quite frankly, we're guilty of it too. But this is something that's in the code of ordinances that is prohibited, which is sweeping or depositing of any trash, paper, rubbish, weeds, or grass into our open, any street, alley, sidewalk, or any public place in the city, and allowing the same to remain in such place for more than 6 hours. Permitting or allowing weeds, filth, or rubbish of any kind to remain on the sidewalk, in front of any side of any premises owned by him, or in the street in the middle of thereof, and west side of any lots. Nonetheless, that's one of the provisions. Part of what we're doing, we're gonna try to do is at the very least try to educate ourselves and then educate the public as to these are things that are in the code of ordinances. So whenever we're talking about, well, are we gonna make people do this or that? There's things in here that are in there that, make sense, and there's some things in here that need to be modified and need to be addressed as far as making sure that they're consistent with whatever state statute says. And the other thing is that we're we're making sure that people have due process, so that they're allowed due process. And so that's what we're gonna try to do, and again, some of the revisions. There's other things in here.
Section 32-108.
If you look at that, under junk vehicles, and there's some provisions in there under the definition, what a junk vehicle is. And so that's apparently the transportation code defines what that is. So it does not, it basically says a vehicle that's inoperable, and does not have lawfully attached to it an unexpired license plate or a valid motor vehicle inspection certificate, and if the vehicle is wrecked, dismantled, partially dismantled, or discarded, or inoperable, and has remained inoperable for more than 72 consecutive hours if the vehicle is on our public property, or 30 consecutive days if the vehicle is on private property. So there's been notices on some of these where the vehicle has been there for a long time. Now, what we would like to do, and one of the things that I know we probably should do better on our end, is make sure that, again, the due process, meaning they come into municipal court, when it comes time to abate, remove, you know, it either has to be a decision made by municipal court or the city council. The same thing would apply to lot cleaning liens. Our challenge sometimes is understanding what our authority is as staff, meaning if we are not authorized by the municipal court or the council to abate things, whether it be junk vehicles, weedy lots, dilapidated structures. I feel a lot better about dilapidated structures, but these other two nuisances that I hear a lot about, those are ones that I want to make sure that we're clear on. And I've tried to make some revisions here.
I have a comment, Mayor.
Okay,
Go ahead.
are you finished?
I'm done.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Councilwoman.
so, when it comes down to, the weedy lots and all that, okay, I understand on that. I've had a lot of calls on vehicles that are on private property that people are holding there, and sometimes they have them neatly in their backyard, or they have them in their driveway. Maybe one in their driveway that it's a project that they're trying to, what's that word when you're fixing a car up? What is it called? Restore? Yeah, restore. I have like 10 of them. No, I'm just kidding. I have 10 kids, so even all of them are gonna drive an old car. But like if they're having a restored car on their property and they're getting it towed, okay? I think that when we're putting these ordinances into place, it's a change. It's a change for all of us. And as human beings, we don't like change. So we have to be able to put the change out there with more, give them more notice. However, with the cars and the weedy lots, you know, we had a lot of vehicles. I got maybe about 6 cars, and one call is too many. When they come and call me and say, hey, my car got towed off my property. I didn't know. Like, when did y'all start doing this? I don't think the due process was there. And I think when we're gonna tow somebody's property, not on our property, on city property, that's fine. Okay, I understand that. But when you're gonna go onto somebody's property and remove their items without knowing the situation, I really think we gotta take them to court. We have a municipal court that we give them time, they get served, and we tell them your car can't be there because it has an expired sticker, or why can't it be there? Then that's how we have to, that's the question I have to the staff, is what authority do they have how do they determine an old car versus a junk car? We have to be able to, that junk car may be junk to you, but I drive it every day.
There's gotta be some standards.
There is some in here, and I'll give you an example right here on section 3211, 32111. It references a junk vehicle, including a part of a junk vehicle that is located in a place where it is visible from a public place or public right-of-way, is detrimental to the safety and welfare of the general public, tends to reduce the value of private property, and vice versa. Again, that's really broad. I see what you're saying. So it creates a fire hazard as
Well,
an
yeah, all that,
unattractive
but we
nuisance.
just need to do a due process better.
So I'm saying, I mean, it's really broad, and for us, from an interpretation standpoint, yeah, we could say, hey, that vehicle, something needs to happen. You got weeds growing all around it, and you got, I mean, we see it, we hear it. I mean, I hear it from the staff on the other end. And then on the other side, we hear from the community, well, nothing's been done. Where on the back end, letters have been sent, we've conveyed messages. Now, could we go back and say, hey, look, we went and talked to these people individually? We could do that if we needed, but there's gonna be some cases as well where you have absentee landowners that have junk vehicles that, no matter how you try to get a hold of them, they're not gonna respond. And so, I think the frustration maybe on both ends is like, when is the city gonna do anything? And then I hear, well, you know, we did something, but we didn't anticipate it, which again, I'm trying to balance those two. But I think it is that challenge of we look at it a lot of times, and I know Chief is around here somewhere, a lot of times what we get is people complaining, and they'll call and file a complaint. They'll file a complaint, but it's like, I want to complain against my neighbor, but don't tell them that I'm doing this. And so we go out there, a lot of times because of complaints from the neighbors, and it's like, okay, we're gonna come and address, but I know their frustration on their end is like, well, nothing's ever done. When in reality, there's letters that have been sent, hey, we try to notify them, but there is that constant. And I know that there's some things on our end that we probably, again, as far as due diligence, we probably need to address.
Well, yes, sir.
It's all good, and nobody that called me complained about having their cars picked up. It's just that they didn't know because they didn't have enough time to deal with it. And so my suggestion is, roll it out with enough time so that the public understands what's gonna happen, and we're all gonna be good with it.
Yes.
That's it. You know, as far as taking junk vehicles or vehicles that somebody wants to restore sometime down the road out of their property, I think there's provisions in here already to do that. Okay? And some people do keep a lot of cars and other things around. If we want to clean up the town, we're gonna have to enforce. And we're gonna have to get real with this. And that's it.
Well, I want to congratulate the council on that, because that's when I was campaigning, I heard that a lot. And I know some of this is painful. I know, and maybe there could be some mistakes were made, but I know this is a tough issue, and I just want to congratulate the council on doing this, and code enforcement, because it is a step in the right direction. And I know that you guys are going to do everything you can to try to not let anybody fall through the cracks. So anyway, thank you for bringing us to speed on that. Now we're going to move to let me see, this would be 7D, discuss and consider the reissuance of a request for proposal for a real estate broker for the city of Pearsall. This is an action item. City manager, you have the floor.
Mayor and council, this is just a request. We had issued this request for proposal, I think it's been a year or so back,
A year.
to try to get a realtor to come and potentially sell properties that we may be interested in selling. We'd like to issue that again. We think we could find a realtor somewhere. I'm pretty confident of that. Again, last year, maybe it wasn't the right time. I don't know what the atmosphere or why folks weren't interested, but I know that I've talked to at least one realtor that was at least interested. So I'd like to see if we could go out and do it, and then as a council, as we determine which properties we want to sell, we would allow the realtor to sell on our behalf. This is all part of, legally, the city can do that, so I'm asking on that end that we go out for the RFP and see if we can find somebody that, or more than one person that may want to do this.
Guys, I think this is a great idea. We've got some property that would be awesome for us to divest ourselves of. And there are properties that are not fixed up very well, so they could increase our tax base. They could maybe get some businesses in there. So it's just a pretty simple process. I would recommend we approve this and move on.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Rodriguez. A second? There's a second by Councilman Gondeta. Let's have show of hands for all in favor. Everybody is. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Now, we've already done, okay, we're gonna go to 7E, discuss 21-22 proposed tax rate and related budget matters. City manager and
Yes.
Mr. Santos, you guys have the floor.
You want me to speak, or you want to? I'll speak just initially, and I'll let Santos. Mayor and council, what we've come up with on our end is initially we had proposed a tax rate of 94 cents.
94.
And 94, yeah, if you look at your packet on page 55, it's on that page, and it actually went out with the proposed budget. But that was the total rate. Now, What we were, based on what some of the discussions I've had with council, I think that the idea is not to raise and increase taxes. And so, so what we had to do on our end, there had to be some adjustment made to where we're, at the very least, bringing in the same amount of revenue that we brought in last year. So what I proposing, I think the tax rate would, the proposed tax rate of 94 cents would drop 5 cents to 89 cents. Now, there's two components that we have to consider. One is the values for this year. The values have dropped